Semifinal, Eric Lindros, one of the great young defensemen in the National Hockey League.
Offenseman, not defenseman. He doesn't play defense.
You're right. Well,
and I shouldn't say that because he might question it. Good all-around player.
Great forward. You're dead right. Big guy.
I'll tell you,
Looks like
he's a huge guy when he's on skates. It's the only guy I've ever seen make Messier look like a human being. One of the greatest hockey players I ever saw, Mark Messier, by the way. Boris Becker with ace number 5 now. A couple big serves there. That's probably the worst shot, or one of the worst, easily, that Boris is hitting the mash.
He's been pretty tight. Only had a couple of loose shots so far through 7 games.
There was that one drop volley that he tried. I think that one there, just a little bit lazy. Doesn't want to give Agassi a chance. Suddenly, Agassi get a couple second serves, crush a few returns, and you find yourself down break point. There's one big second serve return. Boris has got to make sure, along with all other players, but especially him with his big feet, keep those feet moving. Don't get stuck. Another reason why it's so important for him, I think, to chip and charge sometimes, to come into net just so, for his sake, forgetting whether or not it has anything to do with the player.
Just to keep the point short.
Keep the legs moving, though. I mean, he doesn't want to get flat-footed. There's the 30-40 now after that lazy 30 love point.
Out into this break opportunity for Agassi, just his second so far.
Now, normally what Becker will do is, okay, stand back and hit one of his big bombs just to show that he can turn it on when he'd like. Let's see if he can do it here against Agassi. There you go. Typical Becker game.
Ken Rosewall and his wife Wilma watching on.
Still yet to come over a backhand in his life.
Never had to.
Ace number 6. It'll be interesting to see if Boris Becker gets out of this game, because he has played it a little bit too loosely. A couple of big unforced errors. It's a very important point of the match. Man, 126, his biggest serve of the match. Gets him out of trouble.
You know, when you play Becker, you're going on a roller coaster ride. That's for sure. Emotionally, physically, every which way. You never know with this guy. That's why he's so exciting to watch. I'm not talking only about the fans, but his opponents, people in his entourage.
Whoa. Huge return from Agassi. Back to deuce.
Get the idea Becker would try to get that first serve in. Agassi steps in early for that kicking second serve. Agassi does that better than anyone in the men's game. Monica Seles does it better than anyone in the women's game. That returner serve is blistering. By the way, I think I've heard her say she tries to copy Andre Agassi, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right.
Not a bad guy to try to emulate.
I don't think Becker has seen this kind of pace from the baseline in his earlier matches in this tournament.
Well, that's the problem playing Agassi. You don't see it against anybody.
Right. So Boris's
you can't
volleys, it
practice for
strikes me at least, or he's having a little trouble, you know, keeping them in, keeping them on line against that tremendous drive.
Actually, you'll have to prepare a little bit earlier than you normally would. The way to counteract that is perhaps volley a foot or two back further than you would against a normal player.
Great stuff from Becker to save the breakers.
Both players hitting high quality shots here. Becker was stranded there in no man's land, that area between the service line and the baseline. Was able to recover there with that big time stab.
And comes up with another big service.
Agassi says, Becker, he says, you never want to let anybody back in the match, but with Becker, he's so experienced, he knows how to win. You let him back, he's going to take the gift and say, thank you.
Two of those for Becker. Pete Sampras is expecting to see Andre Agassi in the championship. He told the press after his win earlier, I think Andre and I are going to do some battle. I see him winning this match today and just have a chance to beat the best player in the world. I guess he said that with a smile.
Becker with his hardest serve of the match. Dead up the middle, absolutely no chance for any human being.
So Becker hangs in, avoiding the break. Still on serve at 4-all in the first set. Pete Sampras expecting Andre Agassi. That remains to be seen. But he'll face one of the two tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Championship Sunday, the men's final here on CBS Sports. Becker thought it was wide.
I hit the ball now. Same ball.
He's had a couple of comments for the chair umpire, Wayne McEwen, since the first or second point of the match. I think it was the first point of the match.
First point.
Yeah.
He didn't forget.
It was an overrule by McEwen. It looked like it was long. Agassi, you see gesturing. He thought that was long, but he won the point anyway.
They're missing calls all over the place.
Boy, it's 2 against 1 now. Both players.
You know?
The players are a fraternity.
When the first 2 it's always wrong. It's too fast.
Man, chair umpire's getting it from both sides literally here.
The pacing on serve when necessary. Very, very close first set.
Adams and Agassi return.
Brad Gilbert trying to spur Andre Agassi on, and that is one of the great shots in tennis right there. Two-hander cross court, unparalleled. Maybe my brother is in that league when he gets going. Michael Chang's got a very good return when he steps in too. This guy is the best.
Becker watched an awful lot of those from Patrick Macro in the last round before finally beating him in about 4 hours.
why they'd want to have the nets so tight, or why they don't try to do that uniform all around the world, especially at the Grand Slam events, just because it's closer. I don't. Maybe they think it'll make it more exciting because it bounces up higher. I really don't have an explanation, but it should be the same anywhere they play, presumably. Make something the same somewhere. Solid points from Andre Agassi.
3-1 Agassi.
Saw Becker was off balance, saw that he was going to have to hit that slice backhand. Knew all he had to do was cut this off nicely and hit to the open court. Kept his eye on the ball right until it hit his racket.
Agassi. Two serves coming to Boris Becker. He lost both points the first time he served in the tiebreak. Not that time. 11 aces for Boris Becker. Big one there. He'll change ends now at 6 points.
Here's another guy with a beautiful classic motion, that big knee bend. It's tough on your knees, I would suspect. Tough on the legs. He does a lot of thrusting off those.
That's why the ball is so heavy. He gets all of that great body. He gets all that rotation from the hips and the shoulders, starting with the knee bend. So even a serve of Becker's that's in the 90s feels heavier. John, I remember for a while you talking about the Becker serve as the biggest one you'd faced at the time.
In the mid-80s, without a doubt.
Not true any longer?
I think his serve is very, very good. It's not the biggest. I think when Ivanisevic gets going, maybe a Mark Rosset at times, Richard Krajicek, but Becker's certainly in the top 5 or 10, clearly. Michael Steek's got a big serve as well. And a bad and unfortunate time to miss-hit that backhand for Boris Becker there.
5-3 Agassi. Two serves to come to him.
And this is a key point for Boris, I should say. 5-3 down. Agassi with 3 set points. A tall task to come back from that. That's a surprising play there. Agassi's very quick, especially on a court where the footing's this good. You have to hit almost a perfect shot to win that point. Agassi hit this one-handed, so he can do it with 2 or 1. Kept his cool there beautifully under pressure. 3 set points.
Saved one. The second serve. Just long from Agassi.
A lot of people feel Agassi's backhand return is better than his forehand. So even though that appeared to be a low percentage play, that may be the play. If you can get some into the body, which is easier said than done because Agassi moves out of the way so quickly and he doesn't need much backswing. Over the forehand, sometimes it's clearly what he has to do. Well, Agassi's not going to miss a whole lot either from that side.
There's the set for Andre Agassi.
7-6.
in the tiebreak.